Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what is going on? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and this is my review of this past Monday night's episode of Monday Night Raw, the January 29th, 2024 edition that took place in Tampa, Florida. We are, of course, officially on the road to WrestleMania. I'm recording this on Friday, February the 2nd. So, which I'll find out when I watch SmackDown tonight how many days till WrestleMania. I'm going to say about 65 days maybe with WrestleMania. Somewhere along the line there. But this is the Fallout show, though, from Royal Rumble. And, gotta be honest, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good episode of Raw. Despite the fact, of course, that, the drama of the Vince McMahon fallout and all that stuff going on, and just all the injuries that have really just messed a lot of things up. Especially the World Heavyweight Championship. That is just, that picture right now looks strange. Although, of course, after the opening promo on this episode, I think it's pretty clear, honestly, who I think should actually challenge Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. And I know there was the other promo later in the show that Seth Rollins showed up and surprised us and got involved with. Which, it was a promo that I appreciate them doing. Especially because from the fallout from Rumble, I'm saying, okay, how else are they going to make Cody's story interesting getting to Roman at WrestleMania? But I like the fact that from the promo we got here with Seth, because Seth made a lot of really good points. And to me, it's like, I'm interested to see how Seth reacts to not being chosen. Because I'm still pretty sure, even though people say, well, they could either do Cody and Seth and do Rock and Roman at WrestleMania. But the real story here, though, is Cody versus Roman. We know Cody can beat Seth. But can Cody beat Roman? It was implied last year that he could. But this year, he's got to be able to finish the story. Now, people are tired of hearing that, but that's the route we got to go. But I do appreciate that promo because it did have a lot of truth in it. And it did kind of like throw a little bit like a curveball into Cody's road to WrestleMania. So again, all I asked was for something like interesting. Which that could lead to something different. We don't know yet. But we'll have to wait and see. Cody is supposed to be confronting Roman Reigns on SmackDown tonight. So we'll see, of course, what happens when he, in fact, does that. And Bayley, who seemed pretty clear to her path to WrestleMania on Monday, now all of a sudden may not. And may make a decision on tonight, on Friday. Tonight is Friday. So tonight is indeed SmackDown. We'll talk about all that, though. And also, of course, the very unfortunate news. CM Punk, I may have talked about it when I did my Rumble review on Sunday, but there have been speculations that CM Punk got injured during the 2024 Men's Rumble match. And that, in fact, is unfortunately true. But the person who accidentally hurt him, oh man, let's just put it that way. But let's get right into it. Let's talk about the show, and we will go from there. So the show did, in fact, open up. Well, first it opened up With Jey Uso, Imperium, and Damage Control arriving to the arena separately, hyping up some matches or some stuff happening earlier on in the show. Cody Rhodes also arrived as well, advertising him as the first in 26 years to win back-to-back Royal Rumble championships. And then before the show started, we had an entrance from Pat McAfee. And it was announced that Michael Cole and Pat McAfee will, in fact, be the Raw commentary team going forward. Nice. They were awesome to get on SmackDown. They would be great, of course, on Raw. Of course, Pat really getting into it. Even though I still don't like what they did with him at Rumble. Although apparently that was supposed to be Brock Lesnar being the one to intimidate him. I still didn't like how they made Pat look like a wuss like that. I really didn't. But yeah, they're together. And there's rumors about Corey Graves and Wade Barrett being on SmackDown, with Corey Graves now being a head commentator. If that's the case, we'll see how that one goes. But anyways, that happens. And then we get someone to address the elephant in the room, as CM Punk, coming out with a sling because he apparently tore his tricep off that Future Shock DDT from Drew McIntyre at the Rumble. Ouch. The third injury Punk has had in the 3 years he's been back in wrestling. First it was his ankle, then it was his one tricep in the match against Moxley before Brawl Out. And then he tore his other tricep this past week. And the latest I heard rumors are he's going to be out 4 to 6 months. Which unfortunately, he's going to miss WrestleMania. But they kind of set something up pretty darn good here. He says he came really close on Saturday and he felt like he had it all in the palm of his hand. He ain't mad at everybody. He's not mad at Cody. He congratulates Cody and on his accomplishment. And he says he came close, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. He don't believe in luck, but he's felt very unlucky because he tore his right tricep. He tried to bargain his way out of it. Maybe he could make it to Chamber, but it's not in the cards. We don't want anybody to feel sorry for him. And he then talks about how his goal since being a kid was to main event WrestleMania. Maybe he better accept that it's not going to happen. But is it a problem? This is where Punk starts getting a little more emotional. He talks about a good friend of his, Chad Gilbert, who has cancer, and he suffered really bad for a long time. And he visits him when he gets chemo. But the thing about Chad is he's always in good spirits and just so appreciative of life. Which, me having an uncle who died of cancer, and I went to visit him once or twice having chemo, I think like whenever they, I'm not saying this is to all people who not all people who deal with cancer, but people who do have to obviously cope with the fact they have like a life-threatening illness like that. And just seeing them, instead of just worrying about life possibly ending soon, being like grateful for life and everything going on. That's something that's like really touching. And also, to me, I do find it very, lose my train of thought here, inspiring as well. And of course, this is an inspirational story here about how this guy's always in good spirits, and he's never down about it. That's a fight, and that's truly a fight that Chad has. And Punk's tricep, that's just a flesh wound. He says the best in the world doesn't always mean he always wins. And he even mentions, "Did you see me in UFC?" And I'm like, oh shoot. He goes, "Wasn't great, but he had a dream and an opportunity to do it." And he said yes, because that opportunity scared the crap out of him. Coming back here for 10 years scared the crap out of him. And WrestleMania scares him too. But this is just a bump in the road. This is the best in the world is someone who actually fights cancer and puts their lives on the line like firefighters. He just happens to entertain us, and we for some reason love him. He's going to keep doing it until the wheels fall off. And this is adversity he's overcome countless times. He doesn't want to focus on being told he can't, because every one of us wakes up every day. We're teachers and garbage men, and we keep going. WrestleMania 40 is not happening, but there's always next year. He's about to do the whole spiel about him. He's going to bust his ass, rehab, blah, blah, blah. And then he gets interrupted by Drew McIntyre. And at this point, okay, what is Drew going to say? He's very unpredictable. Very justified in his reasons. He comes out and he said, I've said terrible things about you, Punk. And he means them. Punk was terrible to him in the past. And he thinks Punk's a poison in the locker room. But he does relate and sympathize with what Punk is saying and going through right now. And although Drew is not a spiritual person, and this probably what I think was the line of the night. And of course, there's all these memes going around and everything about it. But Drew McIntyre says, I prayed for this to happen. And it did happen. He prayed for Punk to get hurt. And it's like, well, dang, like now he's really turning it up like 100 more degrees as this character. He targeted Punk, broke him down, and last night he slept like a baby after hearing the news that he was hurt and not going to miss WrestleMania. He exercised the demon CM Punk, and now he's going to find a way to get into the main event of WrestleMania, and he's going to live Punk's dream again. And I'm just like, damn, Drew. Like, first he was like the heel that like was justified, and although, you know, he's supposed to be a villain, we understand what he's doing. Now he's just like fully embraced the poison and just goes all out by saying he prayed for that to happen. And now he's going to basically live Punk's dream. Dang! But then Punk, the emotions wear off his face. He gets right into McIntyre's face and he says, I'm going to rehab this arm and maybe next year I'll main event WrestleMania. But when he gets back, McIntyre's the first he's coming for. And then, surprisingly, Punk took a couple bumps. Including, I think, a Glasgow kiss. And I think Punk did get like a cheap shot in there or two. And I think he was even taking off his sling, too, when I saw it. But then, Drew stomped on Punk's injured arm. And Sami Zayn, as Drew McIntyre likes to say, made the save and sent Drew packing, teasing their main event match later on in the show. And there even was a segment with Punk being looked at by trainers later on, which is random. So, I'm pretty sure, again, because of the injury, I'm pretty sure Punk will not be at WrestleMania. He's not going to be ready. He could be back maybe by like, maybe Money in the Bank or SummerSlam, maybe I'll say. But first off, just the fact that he's been injured for 3 years, like, that does worry me a little bit. Like, is he going to continue to be injury prone? Because if that's the case, as much as I love Punk, I'd rather not see him get the world title yet. If he's still going to continue to be injured. Because, honest truth, after this promo, like, I kept thinking they're going to go with Gunther to face Rollins at Mania. But now after that promo, I think you really have to capitalize on Drew. Especially, well, then again also, we still don't know yet if Drew's staying or not. I mean, he could be Punk's first feud back, which if that's the case, either he is staying or he's just signed his contract to feud with Punk, and then he's gone. But I'm going to be real. Especially after this promo, I think they should give Drew one more shot at Mania and have him win the title. I really think that's the route they should go. If you really want to put more ketchup and mustard on this storyline, like this promo was fire. Again, the work, the character that Drew has had so much freaking truth to it, and that's why it works so good. You can have a heel character who doesn't need to be a coward, doesn't need to always cheat, just has to have truth behind his actions, and he has a ton of truth there. He just put more He just, put more fuel on the fire for his character by that line of, like, I prayed for this to happen. So, honestly, and, like, it could impact also with Seth Rollins how he feels of Drew McIntyre of Cody Rhodes most likely not going to be picking him at WrestleMania. Let's get to that promo in a few minutes. But I really think after this promo, I really think you got to do Drew. Because before this promo, I thought, well, they'll probably do Seth and Gunther, and maybe they'll do Sami and Drew at Mania. But they did another match here tonight. So I'm pretty sure they've already done, 4 or 5 matches. I'm pretty sure the idea for that being a match is maybe a little dead in the water. But, again, you can have Drew win Chamber or something and have him, challenge whoever Cody doesn't pick. I think it could be done, honestly. But I think that's what they should go with. But the only thing is, like I said, is I don't think Punk, especially if he's going to stay injury prone, give him a little more time before putting the title on him. And the other thing, too, also, Punk does not need to have a long title reign. I don't think Punk needs to have a long title reign. Just saying. But, very good opening promo, though, and a very good setup for sure for Drew McIntyre going forward. Like, literally putting more fuel on his heel character. Judgment Day is a backstage segment where Rhea's saying it's going to be Bayley's funeral. Bayley picks her, and tonight's about sending a message. Damian says they're done with distractions, and him and Finn are going to get ready to be vicious with DIY. Which leads to a tag title match with Judgment Day versus DIY. And this was an awesome, awesome match. The crowd was really into it. The past couple times I've seen for the first couple weeks that DIY was reunited, I could tell that the crowd they weren't digging them yet. Because they really don't, those who didn't watch NXT don't really know them as a unit. And yes, the new theme song kind of also drained it out. Like, I think, again, whether it's a name change or even like a song change, sometimes like a generic song like what they have here with the we are, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, why can't they break out the that one was just so awesome. But the past couple matches, especially this one, I really felt like DIY is really starting to hit their groove on the main roster. Because this was a really, really great match. Awesome near falls, awesome close counters. They even had the moment where both Gargano and Ciampa had Finn and Damian both in submission holds. Gave me vibes back to their matches with FTR. Back in like NXT Brooklyn 2, I think it was, or 3? 3, I think it was Brooklyn, no, 2, Brooklyn 2. And of course, TakeOver Toronto. Brought me back to those days, and I'm just like, dang, like it was, such good stuff. I really great match. DIY, of course, did not win as I thought. So I'm still thinking there's a chance they could maybe do a rematch where DIY wins, which could be at WrestleMania. But they could do something else, which I think this match would either be at Chamber or they could do that at WrestleMania instead of DIY. But after the match, Finn gets on the crowd, on the microphone, and just brags about retaining the titles. Priest says we've seen a different side of Judgment Day, and who's responsible for that. So they want to bring out R-Truth to give him an apology. So out comes Truth, and he comes out and says, I'll rise to Judgment Day, because Truth thinks he's part of Judgment Day. Live, laugh, love. Priest tells him what happened at the Rumble was... And then Truth tells him they'll talk about this later. And he'll relocate their cash into crypto. And filed Damian's taxes and liquidated all his assets. He's good to go. Priest says there's no way Truth knows what any of that means. But Judgment Day is a family. And Truth says Priest is like his older brother, even though Priest, he's older than all of them because he's turned 52. Finn's like the weird uncle. Tom and Nick, everybody knows. And JD is like the stepbrother. They don't want to admit it's in their family. Priest says, well, Truth, you're not part of the Judgment Day, but I like you. And he always thought he's funny, which is why he's not going to be the one to do this. Which JD McDonough then attacks R-Truth. The Miz tries to make the save, but Judgment Day overwhelms him. So that made me wonder, well, obviously, R-Truth is doing some of the best stuff for Judgment Day, for sure. And as much as I love DIY, would love to see them get a WrestleMania moment winning the tag titles together, you wonder if maybe they might have Miz and R-Truth be the ones to do it, because R-Truth's 52. I don't know how much longer he plans on doing this, but he doesn't have a ton of time left. And he hasn't had the opportunity to have too many moments with titles. So maybe they could give R-Truth and Miz to be the ones to dethrone Judgment Day, more so for R-Truth's sake? I don't know. We'll see. Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark then beat Piper Niven and Chelsea Green. It seems like Samantha Irwin was allowed to use her entrance for Chelsea again. Awesome, as should be the case. Of course, it's funny that's as soon as Vince is gone that she's allowed to do it again. Pretty sure he had something to do with that. Anyways, we then have the winner of back-to-back Royal Rumble matches, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. He comes out, does the usual intro, then he also asks Samantha Irvin to repeat her introduction as a 2-time Royal Rumble winner. And then he takes his victory lap, and then he says, there's a lot of folks here tonight, and he knows you come to a WWE show, and the expectation is to give them the best 3 hours of our lives as an escape from our worries. But people don't realize how the wrestlers themselves need to escape too. The last 48 hours of his life outside of wrestling have been challenging. And on Saturday, we'll never know how much he needed us. I'm like, huh? What does that mean? Before he can continue, though, out comes the injured World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins. This is where things got very interesting. He does the usual shtick, and he tells Cody, yo, we don't see eye to eye, but we still have developed a mutual respect. And he wants to congratulate him being a back-to-back Rumble winner. They shake hands. He's going to be real with him. He thinks instead of challenging Roman, Cody should challenge him at WrestleMania. And the reason why is because Roman ain't the guy anymore. Rollins is. And he knows Cody's been with him on this ride, making town after town, city after city. Roman wasn't even in the main event. Rollins was. And Rollins was defending his World Heavyweight Championship. He talks about Roman cheating to defend the title and says the title on his waist is for them, and by them it's been built through broken bones, a broken back, and a blown out knee. And they've all leveled the playing field. They don't need to pretend that Roman is God anymore because he ain't. And they don't need Roman Reigns at all. So the question is, does Cody want the title for people who politic their way to the top? Or does he want the Dusty Rhodes title? The workhorse title? The blue collar championship? Because that's what the World Heavyweight Championship means. He could ask what little Dusty would rather have, but it ain't about Dusty. It's about Cody. And it's Cody's decision. And Seth don't want an answer right now. He just wants him to think about it. And obviously, myself and a bunch of people probably expected Cody to basically say, screw this. No, I'm going after Roman. But Cody actually, had a lot of emotion about this. He then said he has an insane amount of respect for Seth. And this is the last thing he thought they'd be talking about. But he is going to think about it. Which kind of surprised me. I mean, I think why I was surprised, but also why I'm like, yeah, like, you know, like this is a waste of time. It's not. Seth spoke a ton of truth. Like, does he want the workhorse title? Or does he want a title that everyone's been like the corporate suit? Basically saying, you know, what kind of a man really are you, Cody? Now, this could be because, you know, Rollins may want to prove himself because Rollins hasn't beaten Cody since Cody's come back. But also, you know, he wants to be looked at as a stronger champion. Because like I said, like, you know, if Cody doesn't pick Seth, you really think Seth's going to be like, it's okay, don't worry about it. No, I'm pretty sure Seth's not going to be happy about it. So that also leaves an interest on Seth Rollins. Like, could that, like, if I'm still pretty sure Cody's going to pick Roman. I can see Cody saying, like, I get what you're saying, but why not make both world titles, you know, the workhorse titles? Like, both of them, you know, make their differences and whatnot. So I can maybe see him doing something like that, but like I said, I don't think Seth's going to take too kind to Cody saying no. He wants to be the one to dethrone Roman. He wants to be the one who fixes a problem when he finishes his story. He also wants to be the person that he was told that Dusty wished he had as a son. So, again, I like that curveball. I like it. I don't love it like this is the best thing ever. I like it because, well, I think we first off need to see more of where it goes. But also, there's a second thought I had. See more so where it goes. I forgot. I totally blanked out. I totally forgot where I was going with that. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But that's a very interesting curveball into this road to WrestleMania. But of course, we will see what Cody has to say tonight. And I keep saying this. At some point, Cody has to say, he has to acknowledge the only reason he did not win that match last year, it's not because of Jay, it's not because of Jimmy, and it's not because of Solo. Again, Roman Reigns Nagini, the last piece that makes Roman Reigns immortal, is Paul Heyman. It's gotta be addressed. That's got to be addressed. But of course, we'll see what happens. New Day backstage with Kofi firing up about people forget to talk about how they win championships, and he's getting ready to beat Gunther to win the Intercontinental title for a fifth time. Jey Uso and Bronson Reed have a very nice match. Bronson Reed has a full Titantron, as a few others do, so Titantrons are coming back, very nice. And Jey Uso wins the diving splash. They still are kind of... I still want Chad Gable to be the one to dethrone Gunther. But they keep teasing something with Gunther and Jay. So I don't know if they're going to do Gunther and Jay at Chamber. Even though I'm pretty sure if there is an Elimination Chamber match for Seth's spot, I can definitely see... Gunther being in that match, and quite frankly, Jay as well. So maybe it'll be on an episode of Raw in between, because not just that, but I still think they gotta do Jay and Jimmy. But then again, also, they did nothing really at Rumble to further that story either. So we'll see what happens there. We also get a recap of Andrade, which didn't call him Cien Almas, returning at the Rumble. And he officially signs a contract with Adam Pearce on Raw. Of course, Nick Aldis rolls up when he is too late. And he's like, I lent you Bayley. And this is what I get. Adam Pearce says, this is just business. And Aldis has business to talk about too. But then he gets a call from NXT's Braun Breaker. Which, get him up on the main roster. Again, the guy basically filled in for Brock Lesnar at Rumble. and he looked great. I really hope he does come up. It's time. It is time. Like, okay, they want to make him a heel for a brief time in NXT, but why? Like, what was the point? They could make him a heel up here on the main roster. He's just treading water down there right now in a tag team with Baron Corbin. Lovely. So we have that. Gunther also cuts a, for me, it's Tuesday promo at Kofi Kingston and advises him to leave it all out there tonight because when he's done, nobody's going to talk about Kofi again. But he'll still be building a legacy as the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. We also have Becky Lynch backstage admitting she let a lot of people down at the Rumble, including herself. But the only way she stays down is if she gives up, which that's not in her nature. And she won't stop until she's back at the top and takes the title back into the main event like it deserves. So obviously a tease there, probably a chamber match where Becky will probably win and fight Rhea. And then we have, for the Intercontinental Championship, Gunther and Kofi Kingston, which I thought they had a good match. Again, when Kofi gets his singles shots to shine and he has his more serious side, again, he is definitely awesome and should be a main eventer more often than they've made him a main eventer. Gunther wins the powerbomb. And with that win, I believe he now has surpassed 600 days as Intercontinental Champion. Well deserved for sure. Afterwards, of course, Imperium attacked Kofi 3-on-1, but Xavier Woods makes the save. Maybe that's going to be like a false count anywhere or tornado tag match at Chamber. They probably should do that. We'll see though. I still got to make my Chamber card predictions. As Drew McIntyre likes to say, it's my new favorite way to say his name, but Sami Zayn was backstage talking about how it's hard to sit on the sideline, especially when Drew injures you, and he's sick of Drew because it's not just him. He's targeting Punk, he's targeting Cody, Jay, Seth, and tonight, Sami's going to give Drew a reality check. And then we have the Kabuki Warriors taking on Natalya and Tegan Nox in a non-title match. Kabuki Warriors win. Look at that. No Vince McMahon, and tag champions are actually winning non-title matches, which is good, of course, but they're still continuing some type of angle with Natalya and Tegan where they're obviously losing, but again, it's obvious that they're either teasing Tegan to turn heel or they're really building that underdog status with a story of, she's learning, as what happened with the Rumble. Because there was a time towards the end of the match where Natty told Tegan to do one thing, but Tegan went off and did another thing. And because of that, that's what costed the match, as the Kabuki Warriors took full advantage and took out Natalya to win the match with the diving elbow inverted DDT combination. So that still got my attention. Cade and Katana are backstage saying that they're getting their rematch for the tag titles next week on Raw. And then Bayley comes out after that match and she offers a rare opportunity for a photo with all 5 members of the Judgment Day in the ring all at once. Everybody thought her idea was going to be a flop, that she wasn't as good as she used to be, and she'd been losing a lot of her matches. But luckily, she don't listen to us because she sees the bigger picture, and ding dong, hello, she won the Rumble. And at a time where WWE has the most stacked and talented women's roster, she came out on top. And of course, broke a record by lasting for 63 minutes and 3 seconds, I think it was, something like that. 63-something-3. Not only that, but she beat Rhea's record, which, it says right here, 63 minutes and 3 seconds. So there was right there. So, of course, she's obviously getting ready to pick Rhea for Mania. But then Rhea comes out, begins to cut a promo, and then she gets attacked by Nia Jax. Beats her down as we expected, and basically gets in Bayley's face and is like, you better pick Io because Rhea's not going to make it to Mania. And then, obviously, out of fear, Bayley's like, you didn't let me finish. I'll make my decision on Friday. And you can see Io Sky right outside the apron get that look of concern on her face. Like, of course, Bayley's going to be afraid to face Nia. I mean, honestly, I'd be afraid to face Rhea as well. But obviously, out of fear and desperation for her not to get poodled, She said that. So obviously that's going to start building some more trust issues with Damage Control and Bayley. I mean, again, like I keep saying, the only thing I'm worried about since the turn hasn't happened yet is, again, how are they going to get to Bayley and Io without making Damage Control look stupid? Which is why I'm thinking maybe they may just obviously lose trust in Bayley and panic and try to, beat her down so bad that she won't make it to Mania, but I don't know. We'll see what happens tonight on SmackDown. She claims she'll make her choice. But again, we'll just have to wait and see who finishes the story. I gotta say that, of course. Before the main event match, Drew McIntyre had an interview saying all he's ever done is tell the truth, which is true. And all of his actions have been justified, which is also true. He says he and Sami have had countless matches, but Sami's never beaten him. And that won't change tonight. Hit my music. Put a world title on him. Drew and Sami had a good main event match. Nothing much different. Sami went for a haluva kick at the end of the match. Drew ducked it, and Sami goes down clutching his groin, of course, based off of the impact of hitting the turnbuckles. And then Drew gets the Claymore in, and that's how the show ended. So, I thought it was a really good show. Again, definitely a nice steer into the direction of WrestleMania. There's a lot of things, of course, unknown because of some injuries. But a lot of things, again, that's got me interested. So, it was a really great show. I gave it a B+. B+, the only thing I didn't really care about too much were most of the women's tag matches. I mean, well, Shayna, Zoey, Chelsea, and Piper was meh. I was intrigued by the finish for Tegan and Natty, but again, they're really trying hard to make this women's tag team division feel relevant. I mean, Kaden and Katana, Kabuki Warriors are obvious tag teams, but we don't get enough of the Unholy Union. Well, then again, Isla Dawn is hurt, but give Kaylee Ray a singles push and call her Kaylee Ray again, not Alba Fire. That's a Vince McMahon name. Candice and Indy are just cold right now. I mean, I know they could be great, but they're kind of cold right now. They gotta get seasoned. They gotta get the seasoning on the steak, if you know what I mean. Again, Tia and Natty have an interesting story, but it's gotta get a little more fuel, I think. Zoey and Shayna could be a decent thing, but they're still, growing on me as well as a tag team. I think they should still be single stars, of course, but you need stories as tag teams. They're trying to develop stories. I at least appreciate that, but again, it's just, we need a little more out of this. But we'll see what happens. And where in God's name is Nikki Cross? Did she get lost just going? Although, I still think she could be on her way out soon, because like I said, she already seems to be focusing on life after wrestling. So maybe that's why, but we'll see. We'll see if Nikki ever shows up again. Going. Oh, man. But that's Raw. I gave the show a B+. B+, great episode. What are your guys' thoughts on Raw for this week? Leave your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. And also be sure, as always, to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content to my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at the Club of the Man 93. Also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 93. Let's be part of the road to 2,000 subscribers. Again, we are 32 away. I did get to 1,970, but I dropped 2. And I've been stuck for a couple days now. But of course, I am continuing on, of course, the Spirit of Destiny Return to Danger Let's Play. Uploaded the Secret Weapons levels a couple nights ago. I have one more year of my next Roller Coaster Tycoon Let's Play to record also. It's not my the best park, I'll be honest. The second year is kind of boring, which is going to be a lot of that cut out from the final video. So that's probably not going to be as long as most 3-year parks are. And I hope also to start working on the Elimination Chamber match card as well, too. Get my predictions for that as well. And we'll see, of course, where that goes. So that does it, guys. I'm checking out. Again, B+ for Raw. I'll catch you guys later. Have a great rest of your night. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man. himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!